Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is Agree or Disagree, where we have a big argument, a row, a debate about the latest Manchester United topics. Joining me, as always, is Lauren. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Yeah?
How are you, Jay?
You all right? I'm all right, man. Yeah. Is the sort of the world of Manchester United dragging you down? Is it getting to you? Are you all right with it?
No, it's getting to me, but I feel like I'm used to it. So.
Yeah, you're getting immune?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting. Yeah, numb, I think that's the right word. Also joining us is Chelsea. Chelsea, how are you getting on with it all?
I'm all right, yeah. I mean, there's 4 hours of my life I wish I could have got back on Sunday, but apart from that, I'm all right.
I mean, this can be a therapy session if we need it to be.
I think it needs to be.
Yeah, it might have to.
Might change it.
Yeah. Also here is Joe Smith. How are you, brother?
Numb from the ankles down.
Really?
Yeah.
The ankles down?
All right.
I think it's because I was sitting funny before. But
I'd say
might be
feet
United related, I'm not
in
sure.
something.
Yeah.
Um,
How are you, Jay?
I'm all right. I'm a bit like Lauren. I kind of get like just immune to it. And it's like sometimes I was at the game on Sunday and I was sat somewhere else and a few people chatting to me after the game and like, oh, you like, because I went and did a video outside Old Trafford and like, you raging. I was like, I didn't even feel that angry.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I just kind of felt, and it's not like I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. I'm almost like, the thing that angers me, annoys me the most is how expectant of rubbishness I am, if that makes any sense. I'm just like waiting for the inevitable loss. And it shouldn't be like that. But anyway, let's forget about it. Let's just focus on the future, yeah?
Go on then.
Enough of the past. Make sure you get involved in the chat in the comments. If you don't know how this show works, it is amazingly simple. I make a statement about Manchester United, obviously, and then we all say whether we agree or disagree with it. So I might disagree with the statement. It's not a statement that I've just invented. And then you guys get involved in the chat and you vote as well and let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with the statement. Yeah? Does that all make sense?
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Everyone got it?
Good.
Yeah. We're all intelligent enough to understand the simple rules of agree or disagree. So here's one. And I'm going to, before you all show your boards, because this is how we show as well. We vote like this. Well, not like that. We do that. Yeah, or that. Not that. And that. Because that won't work. Yeah? That'd be very silly. So it's that and that. Yeah? It's whether we agree or disagree. I'm just going to qualify this one before you all show your boards, and I can see Joe's absolutely loving it. There you go. You see, like Joe. Oh, no, it's the way round.
Come on, Jay.
Oh dear.
United should buy a Premier League proven striker. Now, just before you all show your boards, we have been linked with players like Jonathan David, for example, Gyokeres, for example. Well, that one seems to not be happening if we're going to be brutally honest. We've also been linked with 1 or 2 others like Liam Delap. Maybe there's a chance that one day Danny Welbeck comes back to this wonderful football club, which would make my dreams come true. That is the point I'm making. United, because of the mess we're in, because we aren't scoring any goals, rather than taking a punt on someone who's never played in the Premier League before, we go out, we've probably not got enough money for 2 strikers, it's probably going to be 1. The 1 striker we bring in should be a proven Premier League striker. That is what I'm getting at. We need someone who's proven Premier League.
I've spelled disagree. Correct. So
You are. Yeah.
It didn't, when you started saying it, it didn't look right
It
now.
didn't look good at all. But it's right. Sorry.
So, we are split.
Yeah.
The men and the women are split.
Yeah.
It's the battle of the sexes. Joseph, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
You disagree. You don't think we need a Premier League proven striker. It's almost like to you, Brexit didn't mean Brexit.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
It didn't. I just don't think it matters particularly what league they're currently playing in. Obviously, you have to get it right.
Yep.
And we do have a pretty good track record, United, of signing strikers from the Premier League and it working out, like Van Persie, Berbatov, even someone like Louis Saha. We didn't spend a lot of money on him and he was good when the times he was fit. Wayne Rooney, another one, obviously. In recent seasons, Lukaku, who I know it didn't quite work out for 75 million, but I wouldn't mind fucking 40 goals in 2 years from
42 goals in 96 games it was, which stands up against any of our strikers at the minute, doesn't it?
I'd absolutely love that from anyone. So we do have a good record when we do that. But I also think, I don't need to go through and list the strikers that we've got from other leagues that have also worked out as well. You know, most recently, again, maybe not for other reasons, but Cristiano Ronaldo came in and was our top scorer, for instance. Zlatan Ibrahimovic just before that, another one that was very good. So I just think we have to get the right person. The one thing that I worry about with the Premier League, I'm not saying we shouldn't get someone from the Premier League, but my one reservation, if we were to, is just the price difference. Every Premier League club has got more money than almost any other European or world club. Like, you can look at someone like I don't know, Brentford. They'll probably have more to spend this summer than anyone except Real Madrid, Atletico and Barcelona in La Liga. Probably more than anyone except Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, and probably any more than anyone that isn't PSG in Ligue 1. Like, mid-table Premier League teams have just got cash to burn.
Yep.
So because of that, you have to spend a lot to get their best players. So I just think, let's maybe, Gyokeres, for instance, I know is looking unlikely, but he's got a release clause of, I think, 100 million euros. You'd probably get him for substantially less than that. So let you say 70 million quid. I think that you're not going to get too much change out of that in the Premier League for someone who's got far fewer goals in the last 18 months than he has. But, we'll have to wait and see. But I just think whoever we get, they need to be proven, but just not necessarily Premier League proven.
I think you make a good point. Lauren, you want to see someone coming in who's a Premier League proven striker. Why is that? Why do you disagree with, agree with the statement, sorry?
I think because I just want to see goals, and if we've got someone who knows the speed of the Premier League, they're proven to score goals in the Premier League, then you're not going in with just hope that they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I think we just need someone, even if it's for the short term, we just need someone that's proven goal scorer in the Premier League. They're used to it, they're used to the speed, we know they can score, but they're not just struggle, are they going to fit into our system? Are our players going to provide them? Because people are saying that people don't get the service up front anyway.
Well, that is a fair argument that they don't get a service, but also
I don't agree with it anyway.
You've got to bring in someone that, if he does get the service, is going to be good enough. It's not just like, it doesn't matter, or I know you're not making that point, but you want to see someone who can also help create some chances themselves as well. We saw it a little bit with Cheeto the other day. He came on and the initial 10-15 didn't really touch the ball, but after that, I think he was at 3 chances he was involved in. So it wasn't like he didn't have anything to do or anything to get on the end of, and he did quite well, albeit he didn't score. Chels, you agree with Lauren and with me, the statement, not with me, saying that United should buy a Premier League proven striker. Why do you think that is essential?
Yeah, I just think, for me, at the minute, I'm just a bit scared and concerned about taking risks. I feel like Højlund and Xerxes, I mean, as promising as they looked at their respective teams, at the end of the day, they were always a risk because they were young, they were unproven, and they'd never done it in a league like the Premier League before. So I think maybe bringing in the likes of someone like Liam Delap, even Danny Welbeck back, or like even last transfer window, I was thinking someone like an Ivan Toney, someone who plays for a team that on paper, especially Ipswich, are worse than us, but is still banging in goals and still has proven that they can score against some of the top Premier League players. I don't think would be a bad idea at all. However, if I was to play devil's advocate, I'm not, they don't, like Joe said, they don't have to be Premier League proven. It would be nice just to have someone who, to be honest, just if we sign someone from another league, someone who can score goals or has proven score goals in the past, unlike Højlund, unlike Xerxes, someone who's done it in La Liga or done it in Ligue 1 and has scored 20 plus goals a season, for example. But the fact is that we're buying strikers from teams who are young, who haven't scored goals, who can come into the Premier League, which is a difficult league, and maybe not be able to hack it. And I think that's the issue at the minute. So I think I would lean more towards a Premier League proven striker. But like I said, playing devil's advocate, I wouldn't say no to a proven striker in another league.
Yeah, I completely agree. I get where everyone's coming from. For me, there's several sort of caveats to this. We've had Premier League proven strikers who've been not good enough. Like Odion Ighalo was Premier League proven, but he was well past his best. Wout Weghorst had played in Premier League. I quite like Wout Weghorst, but he scored no Premier League goals for Manchester United. It's about being proven in it. It's about being good enough. And I also think when I look at the point you making, Joe, about the prices and how much you're going to spend, United ain't going to have loads of money. This isn't going to be a 250 million transfer window like we've had in the past. We've had transfer windows where we've been like, let's just go for it. I don't think we're going to do that. So maybe someone in the comments here said, Dan Fenton says Jonathan David is free this summer, proven goal scorer, 20 plus goals, and albeit as the other striker. Someone like Jonathan David, in an ideal world, you'd probably aim for someone a bit better, maybe, but I don't think that's a bad idea if we've got to watch our pennies. Someone like that.
How low the standard is at the minute, though.
Yeah.
We're looking at like single figure performances from all of our attackers except Bruno Fernandes, I think.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
no one's got 10 goals.
No, they haven't.
Bruno, including Ahmad, who's obviously he's injured now, so he's not going to improve on that. But even he, who's I would say our best attacker this season, it's not like he's got 16, 17 goals. I think he's got 6. So, we need people who have just scored before. And, there's always a drop-off. Like, I remember Lacazette when he was at Lyon, I think, before he went to Arsenal, and he was getting 25, 30 goals a season, then went to Arsenal, and that kind of half down to between 10 and 15 goals a season. Then he went back there, he was back to 30 again. So there's going to be a difference. But I'd take half of what David's producing.
Well, he's got 20-odd goals every season for the last few seasons. The trouble
12,
we've got
13 a season. That's better than we've got now.
We've brought in Xerxes and Højlund, and I don't want to dig them out, but they're not scoring goals a minute. And their best seasons were like 12 league goals. Yeah. So they're not proven goal scorers, the good young players, but that's been part of the problem. They haven't been able to kick on at Manchester United, and part of that is, as you've alluded to, is they ain't getting the service, but also maybe the levels aren't what we were hoping for. Stephen Wakins says Jonathan David or ideally Victor Osimhen. Again, another one, Victor Osimhen. Carl Lace says Danny Welbeck. I love Welbeck back at Manchester United. I just don't think it's going to happen.
How many times have we signed a player that was a proven goal scorer from any league that just didn't score United? Falcao's the only one I can think of straight away. Because generally speaking, goal scorers can score goals everywhere. Yeah. Not always to the same level, and people will go up and down depending on how it suits them. But typically, we've actually got a semi-decent record of bringing in like proven goal scorers. Because Igalo was a Premier League player, but it wasn't a proven Premier League player.
No, in his last 18 games in the Premier League, in his last 18 games in the Premier League, he hadn't scored.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was 2 years before we got him.
So when we get people that have actually scored plenty of goals in their career, other than Falcao, typically they keep scoring. Maybe not to exactly the same level, but if we just get someone...
I think like Sanchez was one, but he wasn't a striker, he was just an attacker.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And again, I think that was more of a...
We didn't realise he was on his decline. We just thought he got the up with Arsenal, didn't we? But he was actually in decline.
Yeah. Like typically...
No, you're right. Even like Lukaku's a great example, because did Lukaku do what he should have done? No. His record against the top six, the amount of goal droughts he had, mini goal droughts of like 10 on, 10 off almost. Yeah. But he's still record on paper. It's quite good. He scored quite a few goals.
Martial when he first came.
Martial's overall record, I know it sort of petered out with injuries, wasn't that bad. Even Marcus Rashford, I think he's 1 in 3. I know people don't like to give any sort of positive noise towards Marcus Rashford in a minute, but his goal scoring record at United is literally 1 in 3, which at the minute, or for any of the current strikers, it's not anywhere near that. So it's just been, like you mentioned, Zlatan earlier. He came in, he scored, what was it, 17 league goals in his first season. Like,
it was like 28, 29.
Yeah, in all comps. Like I think 28 in all comps has been like a. I think Ronnie did that. I think Zlatan did that. I think Marcus did a little bit more. It was at 30. Well, no, it was 30. So that around that mark has been like in all comps has been doable. But this season, I can't see any. I think Bruno got near that as well. Yeah. No one's going to get near that this season. So it's sad to see. Ross Murphy says, I miss Cavani, but I think if he was with us now, he would struggle with lack of service in this side. People have said you need someone like a Cavani, don't you? An experienced striker who's proven to come in, obviously not now, but when he was like in his early 30s, whatever. The sort of overall vote on the chat is United should buy a Premier League proven striker. Agree, 58%. Disagree, 40. In fact, it just changed. Agree, 59%. Disagree, 49%. So it was quite 41%. Sorry, yeah, my maths is great. So just shading it there, but pretty 50-50. And certainly 50-50 here. Right.
What we got next?
We suggested this, and I tweeted it slightly. We'll go with it. Bruno Fernandes will be remembered eventually as a United legend. I'm going to go with that. Right, so I've got 3 agrees and 1 disagree. Now, I know this is going to set a lot of people off in the chat. I know, guarantee
I'm not looking forward to this.
So we've got 3 agrees, so we'll start with an agree. Chels, I'll start with you. You think he will? All right, here's one for you straight away. Is he there yet?
I wouldn't say he's there yet.
Okay.
But I think we still have a lot more to come from Bruno. I don't think his time at United is anywhere near complete. And I know people will say that to be considered a legend of a club, you have to have won a lot of things. But I don't necessarily agree, because for me, I don't know if this is like a naive thing to think, but for me, if we didn't have Bruno Fernandes in that squad, we would be in the relegation zone. I genuinely think that he has been the heartbeat of our team for the past, 4 or 5 years now, however long it's been. And I think maybe not an obvious choice for a legend, but I think maybe looking back, in a few years' time, looking back and realising how important and how influential and how needed he was in that team, in our team, to keep us in the Premier League. Hopefully, you know, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what's going to happen next year. Hopefully we'll still stay up. But I think people will look back and realise that, you know, he was an influential part of that team, and I think if he carries on, I think he will go down as a legend. I mean, obviously, I know it's not a legend who's won all these Premier League titles and Champions League, etc., but he has led us to trophies, and he has. Yeah, I think I wouldn't say he's a legend now, but I would say he's a very, very important player in that team.
I agree. A few people are saying in the comments, I think Aaron said it, Heaven Soul said it, cult hero. They feel like he's a cult hero in a minute. Joe, you went with agree. You think he will be remembered as a United legend, or he will go down in history as a United legend. What makes you say that?
For me, a cult hero is someone that's likeable despite what you see sometimes. I think that's someone who kind of, maybe they're not all round amazing, but there's something about them that you can really get behind. Like Nani, who we mentioned before. Yeah. I think he's a cult hero.
Cavani had a bit of that to him.
Cavani's a cult hero. Like, not in the legend status, not in that category, but they did enough. They had enough about him, enough interesting personality, interesting play style, something, maybe scored a particular goal or something that would make you a cult hero. For me, Bruno's above and beyond that by an absolute mile. I think the problem with, obviously, he's just in a bad team, but he still won stuff, and he's still, you know, a sort of a captain that I think for the first time in a while we actually, I personally think, is worthy of being a United captain. Yeah. He's not as good as some of the captains we've had. He's not as captainly as Roy Keane or whatever. But I think, you know, the spell there where I think he's a much better player than Antonio Valencia. I think Ashley Young's had the captain's armband as well. Like, you know, Bruno Fernandes is a level or two above those. And I just think that, like, it's not his fault he's the only world-class player at United. And also, you can chat about what is the definition of a legend. It's all very just whatever. But will we see Bruno Fernandes announced on stage as a Manchester United legend in years to come? Yes, we will. Yeah. When he's coming on to do a talk or a Q&A, or when he's brought onto the pitch, or he's sat in the director's box, or whatever it may be, he will go down as a United legend on those terms. You could say, maybe there's only 4 or 5 true legends of any club at any time, but if we're being the sort of more modern, broader definition of a legend, he's world class, and I think he gets into probably any squad in United's history, and most teams in United's history. You know, every league winning side I ever saw had players starting games for us that wasn't as good as Bruno Fernandes. So for me, I think personally he's a legend.
Yeah, I'll get into some of the comments and I'll come to you, Lauren, because you slightly disagree. Aaron says a modern day Brian Robson. Tyson Barnett says only if he captains the team to a league title. John Healy says our category of legend is historically so stellar though. Lauren, you weren't having it. You said you disagree. Why'd you say that? Like Joe says, by the way, it's all subjective, this. Yeah. Because I remember when Steve used to say, for years he was saying there was only one legend at United, and that was Bobby Charlton. Yeah. Like, that was it for him. I think he's thawed a little bit now, but, you know, why are you not having him in a category of United legend?
Personally, I think the word legend is thrown around very loosely nowadays, but like you said, Joe, like that's the modern age. But I think for me, I've never ever been able to really like Bruno. I think he's an absolutely incredible player. Yeah. And we are so lucky to have him. But I find a lot of his qualities are his demise, with his whinging and the way he can throw himself down. And to me, that is then not a legend. What he can do for the team is amazing. Don't necessarily think he's one of our greatest captains either. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but there's been something there that stopped me from really having that love for him. And I think I'm not the only person that thinks that. And yeah, he's been important for us, but that's what he is, a very important player in a very bad team.
I think
he's not a legend.
Sorry, I didn't mean to insult you then. I get your point. And I think there's loads of different arguments about what is a legend and all the rest of it. I think that some people in the chat point out trophies. It's not just about trophies. We're spoiled at United. Like, Anderson won 4 titles. Tom Cleverley won a title. Is he a legend? Lou Macari never won a title. A lot of people say Lou Macari's a United legend. Played loads of times for United. He's absolute, sort of superstar when he was playing. He wasn't like the most gifted goal scorer ever, but he was a big part of United winning that FA Cup, getting back promoted and part of the sort of the Doherty and I think he was in the Atkinson era as well. Arthur Albinston's another player that people say is a United legend because he played a load of games, never won a title, but he was in an era when we weren't winning titles. And I think there's an element of that with Bruno. He's in an era when we're not, but he's played I think nearly 300 games for United, scored nearly 100 goals. There's a good chance Bruno Fernandes, because he stays fit a lot, if he keeps his place in the team for the next 2-3 seasons, can hit 400 appearances for United and get over 100 goals, which just by the sheer volume of appearances and goals puts you near that category anyway. And also the fact that he's not won a lot of trophies, but I felt it was a big moment for him in the FA Cup final. Yeah. Turning up in that final, getting that assist as well for Kobbie Mainoo's goal, putting in a performance the way he did, and being the captain. And I felt like that was a moment for him. It really did feel like that. And I love Bruno Fernandes. I'm not ashamed to say it. I think, as you said, Joe, and listen, I've interviewed Louis Saha and introduced him as a United legend. I know we bandy that word around a lot, but I think when Bruno Fernandes is being introduced or people are talking about him in 10 years, 20 years or whatever, they'll be talking about him as a legend. That's what I reckon anyway. You may disagree. Let us know what you think. Agree 74%, disagree 20. Well, it's just shifted 25%.
It's weird. That's exactly the same as basically the same ratio as us lot.
Yeah. So
very nice.
Someone else said this is a good one. Kevin Credible says Steve Coppell, Lou Macari, Norman Whiteside, no titles, few trophies, are still legends. Norman Whiteside, 100%. I know he broke a lot of records for how young he was when he came through and the rest of it, but you can sort of be a legend without winning lots and lots of titles at Manchester United.
I think as well. Sorry, just quickly.
No, go on.
I think as well for Bruno, I think in a few years' time we'll look back at this kind of era of United and this kind of stage that we're in at the minute, and I think a lot of people will remember happy times because of Bruno. I think Bruno has brought a lot of joy to what can be such a negative time as well. And it is funny how some people get behind him, some people don't, because I know obviously you're not a big fan of his character.
His character. I think he's amazing. I love him, and I know he's a shithouse, but he's our shithouse, and I love him to bits. I appreciate that. It's just you like him at your club, but you hate him. An opposition.
I do feel
fan.
like Bruno as well, like you saying. Yeah. It's so dysfunctional at United. You're coming into midfield when you've got Pogba and Matic and Herrera, then that all changes. Then you're banging in penalties and goals every week. Then they bring in Ronaldo, and that sort of changes the focus of the team, and you have to adapt to that. And then it's all about, all right, we're going to do things slightly different. And it's like, then Sanchez coming, or Sancho, sorry, and it's like, okay, this is, you know what I mean? I know that was the same time as Ronaldo, but he's always been in this team where it's always evolving and changing. And he's been the one constant. Yeah. And a few years ago, Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial, and Marcus Rashford were in front of him. Yeah. They were getting 65 goals a season between them because he was giving them all the firepower. Yeah. And now he's stuck with strikers in front of him and attackers that can't score, and people are still digging him out.
Yeah.
That's a good point about the changing team, because you look at someone like De Bruyne at City. For a lot of his games, I know Aguero's left now, but he knew that Kompany would be there, that Walker would be there, that Aguero would be there. That evolved into being Mahrez being there. He knows that Haaland's going to be there. He's had, Diaz has been there for a number of years. Ederson's been there forever. Bruno Fernandes, it's conceivable that the game tomorrow, Bruno Fernandes plays in a team where he is the only one that's been there for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
That is genuinely possible. When you think it might be Yoro, De Ligt, Mazraoui, Dalot obviously will play, so I guess not. But then it'll be Dorgu. It's going to be maybe Collier next to him, Xerxes, Højlund, and it's like he's in this
Onana
absolute
in goal.
He's in this absolute blender of a squad that's constantly failing and being retried and reworked, and he's the one constant that has been anywhere from one of the best in his position in the league to one of the best midfielders in the world ever since he got here. I think that is pretty incredible. I'd
love it to happen like it did with Robbo, where the team caught him up eventually to get to a point where he got a title. For the first season, he wasn't playing every week.
He deserves it.
Robbo got his 2 titles when he was on the bench more often than not, after carrying the team for years. I'd love to see us in a few years' time, so I don't think it's going to happen sooner.
I'd love nothing more than Bruno to lead us to a title, honestly, to lead us to a Champions League. He would deserve that.
It would be amazing. Right, we'll do one more before we wrap up.
Go on.
Right, I'll go with this one. And Onana should be replaced this summer.
Jesus.
There was two options there. One was Garnacho and one was Onana, but I'm going to go with Onana. Onana should be replaced this summer. I'm so 50-50 on this.
So am I.
I feel like ask me tomorrow, and you might ask me tomorrow night. You might get a different answer.
Can I go there?
No, you can't. That's not an option. Nice try though. I admire it. Do you know what? Right, we've got three of us disagreeing, but I'm going to start with you, Chels, because you're saying he should. Go on. I feel like yours makes the most sense.
Yeah, no, what?
Even though I've disagreed with you.
What have we done?
Like, I do get it, but you explain your thinking.
I'm 50. Well, actually, I'm not 50. I'm probably more 70-30 on the agree side. I just think, right, so I'm not one to bash a player without giving him a chance. And even weeks ago, I was saying that, you know, he can put in good performances. He's not awful every week. He's this, he's that. But for me, ever since I said that, he's made a mistake that's led to a goal pretty much every single game. And it's just getting to a point now where it's just frustrating. Like, you can't... I don't have any faith in him. It's just gone out the window. And I'm not saying that he can't come back from it, but at the minute, it's just getting to a point where I don't trust him. And every time the ball goes anywhere near him, every time he comes out of his box, I don't trust him. And it's got to a point now where, like, I would rather... I know he's injured, so obviously we can't play him at the minute, but I would rather... based on that one game, which again is something I didn't say a few weeks ago, based on that one game that Bayern played, when he's fit, I'd put him straight back in. I really would. I've lost all faith in him. And
really? Are you ignoring the Spurs game then?
Yeah.
I get your point about the Emirates.
This is the thing though, the negatives at the minute are outweighing the positives for me.
Right,
And
that's fair enough.
It's making me forget about the good things.
You're going to have... I can already see the majority of the chat agree with you. Joe, you think... I mean, I think you're to blame for Onana's fall from grace. I'm not gonna lie. You did the video praising him, and since then his form's fallen off a cliff.
He couldn't handle the praise.
He watched that video and he thought, "Oh no, everyone thinks I'm mint. What am I gonna do?" Oh.
There's two obvious arguments. The first one being
agree and disagree.
Even within agree, there's two arguments.
Well done.
The first one is we've got bigger fish to fry transfers wise, but putting that to one side for now, because you could arguably say that about almost anyone in the club, because with so many problems. Putting that to one side, I do think that it's going to be expensive to get a goalkeeper, and I think he's someone that would benefit a lot from playing in a better team. And obviously I know everyone benefits from playing in a better team, but I think there's certain players in the squad that I look at and just go, even at your best, you haven't got the qualities to win us games, I'm afraid. You haven't got the quality to do your position well. Onana at his best, I know, can be a good goalkeeper. There are other players in the squad where I think, I actually have never seen you be a top class fullback or striker or midfielder, whatever it may be. I've seen Onana have spells of, consecutive months on end where he looks like a very good goalkeeper and his passing is very, very good. So I think there's at least a player there. I think there's a lot of players in the squad where there isn't even a player there. Like, the best they can be is bang average. So I think, with Onana, I would give him and try and build a team, not for him, but I think if we build a good team that doesn't concede as many shots and doesn't have this sort of wide open midfield where you've got multiple players running on the defence, etc., I think we'll get the best out of him. Whether that's good enough, I'm not sure. To be honest, overall, I don't know if that is good enough, and he may always just be this inconsistent up and down guy. But I think I would at least give him another chance to see. Whereas other people, I think, I've never seen you be good in the first place. I've at least seen Onana be very good. Yeah. So that's the one reason why I would not, replace him this summer, personally.
Yeah, Ross Murphy, who obviously is moderator on the channel, says the only thing that might make us keep him is he's not the biggest priority for him to be sold. Yeah. Lauren, what's your thinking on this one?
Yeah, the priority thing is very true. We've got positions we need to concentrate on more than a keeper at the minute. But as well for me, I feel like in De Gea's last season, I'm going to get hate again for saying it like that. In his last season, I think...
you Andy Tate, De Gea.
I know. His last season, his back four was forever changing. And I think that was a big struggle for him and why he probably wasn't at his best. And I think Onana, again, he's not seeing a structure of the back three. He's not getting the same back three. It's constantly changing, which then a keeper's going to struggle to have the rapport and the faith in the players in front of him, because they're forever changing and they're not the same. So we need to, hopefully in the transfer, we kind of set up what Amorim wants to set up and who he wants and needs, and then Onana will have that comfort and confidence in the players in front of him.
Yeah, I get your point. I just think, kind of what Joe says, I think Onana, I'm beginning to think Onana's probably not good enough. But I just feel like we've got other areas that are more important right now. Like the Fulham game is a good example. Andre Onana didn't cost us that game. It's not him not saving penalties. We just didn't create enough chances. We didn't score enough goals. That's what's been the problem more often than not.
He had a couple of decent saves. That one down to his right hand side that he tipped around the post. I thought was a very good save.
I still think longer term. I think the summer after this one, probably I think give him one more year. But we've got to get a striker and we've got to get a midfielder.
Yeah.
We are, and we need another wing back. We need another wing back. We need a number 10. we need a midfielder and we need a striker. Honestly, like those are the most important areas for me. If, like I said earlier, we had loads of money and it was going to be a big window, then I'd say just move him on. But I just think now we've got to at least stomach it for another year. And who knows? It's not like I'm 100% certain that he will not turn it around. I think it's more likely he won't. But there was a player there for a little while. We saw it in that sort of mid part of last season. I think it was where he was doing really well early on in the season. We saw it. It's just he seems to have lost a bit of confidence. The crowd are on his back. It's not great. I do sympathise with him with the revolving door in front of him.
His own fault though, with the fans being on his back, because when we're in the Stretford end and we're losing or we're drawing and he's wasting time.
Oh, he was winding me up this weekend.
What were him and Lindelof doing?
This is what I mean.
Every single time.
That's was like wind us all up, and then when you do make the
Chuckle Brothers,
do make a problem.
Wasn't it messing about and couldn't decide who was going to take the goal kick?
It's ridiculous, and then you do make a mistake. Yeah, we're gonna people are gonna be on your back because you're already taking the piss out of us by wasting time.
I lost my head in the Forest game. Not to kick him out when he's down, but when he was messing about that free kick and the ref told him to move it back at the last minute. I get your point. I do. I do sympathise with him now, because it is that whole thing of the manager's brought him in who's no longer here. The defence in front of him isn't great. The crowd are on him. It's not great to see. I don't like seeing it. Ultimately we have to be a bit honest about it and say he probably ain't good enough.
I think that's why it's so frustrating though, because we can see that like I said, I was one of his biggest supporters beginning of the season. Like you can see how good he can be. So it's just so annoying to see him how he's playing now. It's just frustrating. But like I said, like you guys, I agree with the priorities. I think strikers, midfielders are definitely more up there. But like I said before, necessarily don't need to buy one. I would necessarily give buying Diego.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. In the chat, Andre Onana should be replaced this summer. Agree 63%, disagree 37%. We'll run through everything we've said there because we're going to wrap it up now. But we've done a few statements today, a few agree or disagree statements. So the first one was United should buy a Premier League proven striker, go with someone who's played in the Premier League rather than maybe an Osimhen or a Jonathan David or whoever. The studio was split, I think 50-50 that one. The chat agreed that we should go for a Premier League striker, but only 59%, so quite even there. I think it was more or less 50-50 across the board. Bruno Fernandes will go down in history as a Man United legend. I think 3/4 of the studio agreed with that one, and the chat, that's not a word, the chat agreed 75%, so the studio and the chat in tandem today. And the third and final one, Andre Onana should be replaced this summer. 3/4 of the studio actually disagreed with that, whilst the chat agreed 63%. So that was a bit of an outlier. That was the one that was the exception to the rule. So yeah, it's been a good discussion there. I mean, look, it's a bit of doom and gloom going on in the minute, but at least Bruno Fernandes is good.
Yeah.
This is the United legend, isn't it?
What would we do without Bruno?
Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Lauren, thanks for coming on the channel. Always good to see you. We'll see you again next week.
Yeah.
Chelsea, same. And Joe, we'll see you tonight, me and Dee.
Tonight, won't we, with Paddock Live at the what's the word? Climax of the Champions League games.
Oh, is it?
Just after that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
There's something to look forward to.
Yeah, so they'll join us momentarily post-climax, which is all we can offer.
Okay. On that bombshell, that's been Joe, that's been Chelsea, that's been Lauren, I've been Jay. This has been Agree or Disagree. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.